Uh, Lauren, so Jaire Alexander is on the market. Excuse me, a Charlotte native Packer who had done really, really well during his time in Green Bay. Dave Canales was asked directly by the folks at Carolina Blitz, do you want him in this locker room?
I don't know that for sure, but we're always open to the chance of just bringing great players in here to create that competition. So I wouldn't say no, but right now we have to take all the information in, and I'm sure those conversations will happen just to kind of see, like, what are they looking for? You know, it's got to be the right fit for both sides, and so those are all things that we'd be open to.
So I guess the first question to ask, Lauren, is just as simple as, do you anticipate more significant roster movement from this team as guys get cut throughout the camp process?
I would hope so, to be honest. Like, yeah. I think that has to happen. Sorry.
No problem. I heard the sound and I thought, God, I hope that's her phone and not her stomach.
It is my phone. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would hope so. I mean, we know that this team still has some pretty big needs to fill.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Alexander is interesting because on the one hand, imagine a backfield that is a defensive backfield, obviously, that's J.C. Horn, right. Jaire Alexander as your corners, and then Trayvon Morin is the anchor of your safeties. Maybe then it's a little bit easier to stomach that Lathan Ransom is the other starting safety. He's from Mint Hill, a suburb of Charlotte. He's 28 years old. There are a million reasons that this is a no-brainer. On the flip side, he's probably going to be very expensive.
That's it.
Yeah. I would say another part of the flip side is, given what your needs are, he's not a safety, right? Like, I think that should be the priority, because one of the guys that got love from literally every single Panthers Twitter account I follow yesterday was Shaw Smith-Wade, who was the 4th round pick last year out of Washington State. Played some spot duty at nickel, but if he's coming along where he at least can give you a season as a starter, do you have to go after a Jaire Alexander? Is it easy to justify not doing it? I don't know what the right answer to that is, because I don't know how to evaluate defensive backs when they're not going up against receivers.
Right. And honestly, for me, I mean, you just gave J.C. Horn $100 million or whatever, however many, 100. Right. I know it was over 100. Okay. So I don't think that you can justify, I don't think you, regardless of can you afford it? Technically, maybe. Right. But it would be basically stretching your budget to the absolute max, and for not a practical reason. Like you said, to me, I think safety, like you said, is a higher priority. And I mean, would you love to have a Jaire Alexander? Sure. Maybe you shouldn't have given him $100 million.
Yeah.
And no offense, y'all know how I felt about that. I just felt like that was too much, but it is what it is. They've already done it. So at this point, I think you have to stand pat and concentrate on safety.
Well, Lauren, it's not only they've already done that, it's they've also made all the moves on the defensive line and all the moves with edge rusher. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up right now. And so it's not just Jaire Alexander. It's when you hear that the Dolphins are still looking for a taker on Jalen Ramsey. And sure, he says he would love to play for Ejiro Evero. You still have all those same no's. He's too expensive. He's not a safety. And if you have a young corner emerging in Shaw Smith-Wade, does this make a whole lot of sense? I think the Panthers.
Maybe I'm just remembering Jalen's college career, and that's entirely possible considering that's what's going to stick out more in my mind. Sure. But I could have sworn he had some more positional versatility than that. Maybe that was just college, and they've switched him to full-time corner in the NFL. But I remember him playing safety in college for sure. At least
during the time he was with the Jets, he was with, or the Rams? The Rams. During the time he was with the Rams and then now with the Dolphins, I can't really speak to. I remember when he came into the league that one magical Jaguars season, they were moving him all over the secondary.
Yeah, that's how he was in college too. He could play almost anywhere in the secondary. That's part of what made him so valuable. So I hear you that he's not technically a safety, but for me, if you're asking me like who I think would be more worth a little bit of spending. And like the thing is with Jalen is he's been looking for a while now. So that, it's like anything else. Your market value starts to tank a little bit once you've been on the market. I've got housing market on the Braves somehow.
No, I mean, look, the difference between him and Jaire, though, is that he has a contract attached to it.
Right.
You're not going after a free agent. So you do now, like to your point, and the housing market's a good example. You can offer the Dolphins very little, and they might just be happy to get anything to get the guy off the thing. Books.
Yes, once you've had it long enough. Right. It's like once you've had it long enough and you're just like, I got to get rid of this thing.
So the other part of this, and we'll wrap here, is both Jaire Alexander and Jalen Ramsey kind of have a reputation and, frankly, a history of being bad teammates, of being quote-unquote locker room poison. I mean, Ramsey, now this is the second. He's been on 3 teams in the NFL, the second one he's demanded to get away from. Jaire Alexander.
A Jimbo Fisher FSU player being a locker room problem? Dimitri,
who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? Jaire Alexander, I think this is part of what accelerated the process of just cut him. We don't need the headache. Last year, the Panthers were not equipped to take this on. I mean, like you saw how quickly they just threw their hands up on Diontae Johnson. I wonder if they are more equipped now. Not saying I'm making the case that they should, but now, is there more of a culture that a malcontent would not just overwhelm the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. And also, when I hear, I'm not saying that it's not true because I'm not in those locker rooms.
Yeah.
However, I sometimes like to take those reports, not with a complete grain of salt, but I often know that they're coming from the powers that be from time to time in the league, and not necessarily like, I mean, sometimes they're coming from the players themselves. I get that.
I think so. Like, I hear you. I think Diontae Johnson was clearly difficult to deal with.
But where did we hear, like, did he never got like benched in Carolina? Like, we never heard about that in Carolina. We heard about it elsewhere. And it's possible that maybe he was like busting his butt here for the most part and maybe he started to become a problem. And at that point, Canales like, yeah, it's fine if we get a good offer. And then he was like, haha,
I mean, it is what I think last year he ended up on 4 teams, right? He ended up with the Panthers,
3 or 4, Ravens,
the Texans for sure. And didn't he end up
the Raiders maybe?
I was thinking the Chiefs. Like, I think the Chiefs picked him up at the start of the playoffs. He may not have played a game, but I'm pretty sure he was on the Chiefs roster.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a computer. I thought it was Ravens or I don't know, one of them. Yeah. You're right though. The Ravens cut him. I think. Yeah. So I mean, he's been all over the place, but the only place he had any stability last year at all, and like was here. So
I mean, and look, there were very particular circumstances with him last year. First of all, you traded for him with a guy you were probably going to cut anyway, knowing that this was a possibility, knowing what the reputation of Diontae Johnson was. He was also a diva wide receiver coming into a situation with a quarterback that was probably not prepared to be an NFL quarterback. So as you flip that to Jaire Alexander, and I'll focus on him because so many people are connecting the dots of Charlotte native. He belongs in Carolina. Is a completely remade defense, even if it is more veterans than rookies, more proven veterans than even young guys. Are you looking at possibly the same situation? And with Jaire Alexander, who has produced all pro seasons, are you in even more dangerous waters? I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I just think they would probably have to just do their homework and figure out as best they can, like what was really going on? Like, whose fault was it? All that stuff. Like, what's the real situation here? And is this worth pursuing? I have a feeling that neither of them end up here anyways. That's just my hunch, but we'll see.
It's interesting to me. Yeah, I think you are right. And I think the other significant part of this is it seems like, and I don't know if Dave Tepper is on board with this, but it seems like Dan Morgan and Dave Canales are content to be patient and let their guys come together to be the team.
this whole thing, it almost reminds me of like, I don't know. There's this thing like sometimes when you're single or something and people are like, oh, so-and-so just got to be single. And you're like, okay, so I'm just supposed to pick this person because I'm like, I don't have to pick this person. I don't have to choose anyone.
That's exactly what's going on with Jaire Alexander right now.
Yeah, because
he's single and he's in your neighborhood.
Right. They're like, oh, the Panthers have secondary problems. These guys are around. It's like, yeah. And like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good fit for everybody involved. Like, I agree. And you know me, like I'm in full panic mode with the secondary point, but I'm still like, you don't have to pick a guy that could mess things up if, just because you're in need. You could figure out a way to meet it some other way.